Welcome to the Scratch Golfer's Mindset Podcast, the show committed to helping you dismantle the destructive mindset programs keeping you stuck in the proverbial bunker of poor performance so you can get out of your own way and play to your potential. My name is Paul Salter. I'm a high-performance hypnotherapist and mindset coach with 16 years of experience helping thousands of individuals like you get unstuck. This podcast features a collection of solo episodes, conversations with scratch and plus handicap golfers, and master classes with top experts in the performance psychology space. The one goal? To help you make playing to your potential a habit. What is up, fellow golfer? Welcome back to another episode of the Scratch Golfer's Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Salter, the golf hypnotherapist, and buckle up. We are going to be incredibly intentional with the use of our time today. And before we do so, I've got to remind you, this past week's episode 74, where I had the privilege and opportunity to sit down and share a conversation with Dr. Joseph Parent, it was nothing short of incredible. The reason I bring it up again is because I have gotten countless outreach messages providing positive feedback and gratitude that I asked some of the questions or directed the conversation in the way that I did. Listeners have reached out and found the conversation immensely valuable. So here's your nudge. If you've not yet done so already, go listen to episode 74. It's a great conversation with Dr. Joseph Parent, the author of Zen Golf and many other wonderful books. I absolutely guarantee you'll find immense value in the conversation. And if you've already listened to it, share it with a fellow golfer and go listen to it again. And on that note, I think something I don't do a good enough job reminding you of is the library of phenomenal conversations and episodes that I've racked up, that we've accumulated on this journey. I believe we're coming up on a year. I should really be aware of where my 1 year mark is. But regardless, this is episode 75, and I want to direct your attention to episode 67, Understanding Hypnosis, the what, how, and why behind using hypnosis to achieve your potential. Episode 65, Breaking Through Your Mental Ceiling, the Golf Thermostat Effect. Episode 57, Overcoming the Rush, Slow Down to Elevate Your Game. And episode 53, Strategic Tunnel Vision, the secret to staying focused, improving your golf game. Highly, highly recommend those episodes. They're phenomenal. They're valuable. They're jam-packed with tangible takeaways. And I know that if you listen to what is shared and taught in those episodes and consistently apply the information, you will absolutely become a better golfer and a better you. Now, we've got a lot to cover today. I'm really excited. I put a lot of time into preparing for this episode, but it also hit me. It's been 3 weeks, I believe, since the member. And I've got a pattern of giving thorough, detailed updates on the direction of my game every quarter. So we're still about 6 or so weeks out from another update on my journey to becoming a 5 handicap by the end of the year. But I'm going to tell you this. I made one simple, intentional change in my swing, specific to the tempo of my backswing. 5 of the last 6 rounds at my home course, Tampa Palms, have been new lows ever. 49, 48, 48, 47, 46. Not quite that order, give or take a little bit of shuffling there. But on a very fucking hard course, tight, thick rough. As I joked about a couple episodes back in my member recap, if you hit one of the mounds on the edge of the fairway, it's like they are made of concrete and they are designed to send your ball flying into the forest. So these are good scores, especially when I was really hanging out in mid to high 50s for a little while as I got back into things once my son got a little older and I got a little time back on the course a couple of months ago. All of that to say, I'm pleased with the direction of my game. I feel more confident in my swing, specific with irons, than ever before. And I'm gonna brag and boast on one shot real quick, and then I will get off my excited horse, not my high horse, just excited. Played the other day with a buddy of mine and kind of pull hooked my drive. I'm staring down about 198 to the pin. I have a literal ball beneath my feet, incredibly downhill lie. Think like 45-degree slope, and another 12 inches in front of me is the lip of the bunker. It is a very demanding, like physically demanding position to get my body into, to make contact with the ball, let alone a decent shot. I don't think I've ever hit a shot so pure. I sent that 7-iron, probably about $180. It bounced on the fringe and then trickled up onto the green, and I was able to make par there. Phenomenal shot that just validated the countless hours I've put in at the Golf Tech TrackMan, in my garage or my driveway, hitting foam balls and putting a lot more time on the course just in the 3 weeks since member. And I can't wait to give you that update here at the end of Q2. But let's dive in because we've got a lot to talk about. And, as I was actually preparing for this episode, my idea initially was to highlight some of the key coaching points that I had been working on and through with some of my clients the past couple of weeks. So I set a timer for 15 minutes and I reviewed all of my notes just to see how many themes and patterns I could extract that I thought would be very valuable talking points. And I kept coming back. This is dozens of coaching calls a week, not dozens, about 20 to 25, to the two things, slowing down, but really the key word being intentionality. Intentional. Be more intentional. And, the way that I structure my coaching calls, obviously I lead and I prioritize hypnosis as my primary change modality and transformation tool. But in a roughly 60 to 65 minute coaching call, the first 20, 18 minutes or so, it's fast, candid, compassionate coaching. There's education, there's empowerment before we get into the hypnosis. And a lot of the theme of that first chunk of the call lately, the last 3 weeks or so, has been intentionality, challenging my clients to be more intentional, to slow down, to create an opportunity to turn off the volume of mental interference, close the gap that doubt and sabotage had been continuously trying to sneak their way through, to execute confidently with the utmost degree of certainty what it is they already know how to do. And I thought, what better discussion to have on today's episode than really digging in and unpacking what it means to be intentional, what lack of intentionality is costing you, and perhaps equally important, what lack of intentionality really means. And without further ado, buckle up, get your note-taking device ready, and let's dive in. Intentionality, let's define it. Let's get a working definition to really lay a framework and foundation for this conversation. Intentionality is the conscious act of directing your attention, energy, and effort toward a specific purpose or outcome, on purpose, with purpose. Let me repeat that for you because it's fucking good. Intentionality is the conscious act of directing your attention, energy, and effort toward a specific purpose or outcome, on purpose, with purpose. It's not just about what you're doing, but why you're doing it and how you're showing up. You might need to go re-listen to those last 60 seconds. Intentionality is not just about what you're doing, but why you're doing it and how you're showing up to do it. It's active versus passive. It's focused versus distracted. It's committed versus interested. It's here versus there in the future or there back in the past. It's the difference between reacting to what happens during your round versus proactively deciding how you want to feel, think, and perform throughout it. One of the biggest missed opportunities every single individual I work with, you listening, even myself, misses out on is bringing an intense degree and level of intentionality to everything we do. And this goes beyond every round, every hole, and every shot, where the utmost intentionality is absolutely needed to play to our potential. It goes into every facet of life. And here's what I really need you to hear me on and understand. Lack of intention is not a behavior problem. It's a belief problem. Lack of intention is not a behavior problem. It's a belief problem. Even more, your lack of intention isn't random, and it's not a surface level habit. It's a mirror reflecting deep-seated fears and limiting beliefs. And I'll also add this. At the end of the day, a lack of intention is a form of energy leakage. It simply and silently drains your focus and dilutes your effort. Without clear intentions, you unconsciously keep yourself small. You aim for vague outcomes. You protect yourself from disappointment. And you sabotage your growth on and off the course by staying in your comfort zone and not fully trying. Intentionality, on the other hand, it's an act of self-trust and personal leadership. It says, hey, I'm here to play bold. I'm present, I'm focused, I'm committed, and I'm here to own my round. I'm here to grow and to be the best version of me. I encourage you right here, right now, just perhaps even consider hitting pause. What are you missing out on? Or how are you holding yourself back from failure to bring intentionality to what it is you say you're committed to and care about most? Maybe you lack intentionality on the golf course. Perhaps you lack intentionality in your business or on the job. You may lack intentionality spending times with your spouse or your children. And I want to help you understand what a lack of intention really means. Because as I shared earlier, it's not a behavior problem. It's not random. It's not a surface level habit. It's a belief problem. It's a mirror that reflects deep-seated fears and limiting beliefs. And I want to unpack that a little further for you. So first and foremost, lack of intention reveals a fear of failure. And we can think about it in a very simple, relatable example, such as the golf shot. If you never fully commit to a routine, a target, or a particular swing thought or swing feel, then you never fully have to confront the sting of falling short. It's simply not only a defense mechanism, it's a fallback excuse. So when you shank that shot or you push it right or you hook it into the bunker, well, I didn't really have a pre-shot routine, or I wasn't really intentional. I kind of just hit the ball. You have an excuse. And in that moment, it soothes the little wound, the sting you experienced. But underneath it all, the wound is growing, larger, more intense, the burning sensation stronger. And you might not feel it in that moment because you've soothed it with one of these short-term excuses and stories that justifies your lack of intention. But that's your core. You hear that little voice when you lay down your head for sleep at night that just reeks fear of failure. Let's flip it now, because similarly, lack of intention reflects a fear of success. Success raises the bar. If you shoot a great round, not only do you, but your close playing partners and friends, what do? they expect you to do it again. Now, all of a sudden, you put this pressure on yourself. This invisible gravitational like force begins to press down upon you. And suddenly, it opens up Pandora's box to a collection of fears you didn't know existed. Maybe there's the fear of being seen. Maybe there's the fear of being celebrated. Maybe there's the fear of having to sustain a higher standard because you think you're an imposter. You think it was a fluke. You got a couple lucky bounces. And suddenly, you stop putting forth the same intention that brought about that success. And your game, your scores, and how you feel about yourself all begin to regress. Lack of intention helps you avoid confronting uncomfortable truths. When you lack clear goals, a clear structure, you never have to measure your performance or your patterns. You stay busy and it feels good to be doing for the sake of doing, but you remain unfocused and therefore avoid the deep work in confronting the harsh truth. And we see this all of the time. It's the individual who attends one conference or seminar after the next, but fails to bring any intentional action after the fact into his or her work life or personal life. And they become known as a serial seminar attendee, a serial conference goer. But you see the same person year after year. They're making the same amount of money. They're still overweight, out of shape, unhappy, and stressed about the little things in life. We see it with the golfer who's at the range, hacking away one bucket after the next, never stepping foot anywhere around a short course or a putting green. Yet they can say, well, hey, man, I spent 6 hours on the range last week. I played 2 rounds, but year after year, their handicap is plus or minus the same, if not regressing slowly but surely. When you bring more intentionality, or in this particular case, presence, structure, purpose, on purpose, to achieve a particular purpose, you have the opportunity to get better. Intentionality actually accelerates results if you're willing to confront the uncomfortable truths, the gap in knowledge that you may possess at that particular moment. But it can be quite intimidating to admit, I don't know something. I need help. I have a question. Oh, fuck, this is going to be harder than I thought. And lack of intention helps you avoid all of that. Lack of intention also reinforces the belief that you're not good enough. Think about it like this. If you believe deep down that you're not capable, you will subtly self-sabotage yourself to prove it right. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Not setting an intention ensures inconsistency, because part of you doesn't think you deserve consistency. And we see this as a microcosm in every single round where somebody, maybe you, has a great front nine, loses, quote, focus, or stops being intentional and starts to coast on the back nine because deep down, not only did you not believe you could ever put together a full round of 18 at such a low score, but you also didn't believe you could actually keep intentional focus, presence, and structure for a 4.5 period of time. I mean, I'm going to keep going because this is huge. Like, I found so much value in putting my notes together for this episode. Personally, this episode, this podcast, one of the many reasons I love it is that it serves as a mirror for me as well. Because if I'm going to talk about it, I've got to be about it. I've got to walk it. So thank you for tuning in every week and supporting the growth that this show has allowed me to experience as well. Let's continue. Lack of intention mirrors a belief that you're undeserving of progress. If you don't believe you're worthy of success, and this is the core of what I help people begin to unlearn in so many cases, this deep-seated belief that you're not worthy, deserving, or capable of success. And that's for a different conversation. I won't get off on a tangent again. But if you don't believe you're worthy of success, you don't allow yourself to step into the mindset required to achieve it. You subtly and consistently sabotage yourself with inconsistent intentionality. When you're intentional, that means you've taken ownership of your goal and the process or journey to get you there. But ownership can be fucking uncomfortable if deep down you don't feel like you're worthy or deserving of actually getting to that destination. So in short, I want you to take away this. Lack of intention isn't laziness. It's self-protection. It reveals where your beliefs and fears are stronger than your desire for change. Now, fortunately, everything I just talked about, these fears of failure, success, these feelings of I'm not worthy, deserving, capable, good enough, they're all learned. And as a mindset and performance coach, I use hypnosis to dismantle these patterns of destructive thinking, feeling, believing, and behaving that keep you stuck in the perpetual cycle of 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. And if you consider yourself coachable, growth-minded, and committed to becoming the best you on and off the course, knowing to be true, knowing damn well that asking for help accelerates results, I invite you to use the link in the show notes to schedule a mindset coaching discovery call with me, to learn more and have a phenomenal discussion about how I can help you get unstuck out of your own way and become the best version of you. Now, because I know you quite well, meaning I also know myself quite well, because really, 9 times out of 10, I'm having a conversation to and for myself as I record these episodes, and you get to benefit as well. I want to talk a little bit more about what holds you back from slowing down and being more intentional, because whether you're aware of it or not, and you might become aware in a matter of seconds, there's likely a steady stream of excuses, stories, and justifications taking place that help persuade you that it's not necessary, it's not safe, or it's not comfortable to slow down. I'd like to poke some holes in those arguments, if you will. So let's address some of the common fears that might be holding you back from slowing down and bringing more intentionality into your day and into your round. First and foremost, there's the big fear, what will it feel like if I slow down? You know, so many of you listening, you're doers, you're tenacious, you've got a strong fucking work ethic, you're a human doing, you're go, 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 do. So the thought of, wait a second, if I actually pause, did you feel uncomfortable when I paused a little awkwardly long there? Yeah, I thought you might. If I actually pause and reflect, and I create space in the constant stream of doing, I might have to face some uncomfortable truths about myself, my performance, my progress, and my patterns. Or should I say my lack of progress? That can be quite scary. You might have a fear of losing your edge. You might have this outdated, irrational story in your mind that basically says, if I'm not grinding, pushing, or doing more, I'm going to fall behind. So many of you equate stillness or reflection with weakness or laziness. How do I know that? Because I used to be that version of you. But I'll tell you what, and I've shared this many times on this podcast, the quote that really just changed the lens through which I viewed life in the pursuit of what I do and aspire to help you become is that the voice of the subconscious mind is silence. Stop. Shut up. Slow down. Be still. Listen. Another big fear of change. If you slow down and get clear, you might suddenly realize, fuck, I need to do something different. And that's scary because different is different. It's unknown, it's uncertain, it's uncomfortable, and that's scary. It poses a real threat to all that you know. And then there's also fear of exposure because intentionality makes it real. If you do pick a target, execute your routine, and still hit a poor shot, well, suddenly in your own mind, that confirms you're still not good. And it's not even worth it. It didn't work. Why bother being intentional? Why can't I just kill a 6-pack, hit a couple shots, loosey-goosey, call it a day, and then bitch and moan and complain why I'm not getting any better? Let's talk about excuses. I don't have time to slow down. Yet, again, you spend 3 to 4 hours on the range just hitting one ball after the next aimlessly, lack of intention, so present the entire time, and wonder why nothing changes. One of my favorites. Well, you know, I'm not really a mental game guy. I'm pretty stoic. I'm pretty tough. I don't really, I've never really bothered with emotions. And this is the same guy who his natural, air quote, resting posture, his shoulders tense up toward his ears. He's tight. He flips at the blink of an eye. He's angry. He's tense. He raises his voice. He yells, fuck this. He throws his club. but he doesn't have a problem with emotions. He's stoic. He doesn't really deal with emotions. Or conversely, there's the other guy who's just toxically positive. Nah, everything's cool, bro. Everything's fine. Like, it's all good. I hit a bad shot. It's whatever. Or there's also one of my favorites, the guy who uses humor to deflect every bad shot. All of this is just an excuse to not dig into the mental and emotional aspect of the game, which, guess what? Is the vast majority of the fucking game and of life. If you want to go fast and far in life, work on your mental game and work on your emotional resiliency. The next one is one of my favorites as well, backwards logic. It's the guy or gal who says, I'll be more intentional when I start playing better, which we see parlayed into the bigger mistake is I'll hire a coach when I break 80. I'll hire a coach when I win my club championship. Backwards fucking thinking. The most successful, the best of the best hire coaches as soon as they commit to achieving their goal because they're committed. They know they need help. They know they need support, an extra set of eyes, ears, brains, and perspectives with them every step of the way because they understand asking for help accelerates results. And then the easy, low-hanging fruit one. I've tried that before, meaning intentionality, breathwork, whatever, and it didn't work. But truthfully, what they tried was really probably a half-ass attempt without any real consistency, continuity, or intentionality in the first place, setting it up to fail before it even started. Couple beliefs we need to unpack that hold you back from slowing down and creating more intentionality on and off the course. Something I subscribed to for a while was more effort equals better results. I confused effort with effectiveness. And I saw this play out in my business for the longest time. One of the overarching goals was always financial peace, security, abundance, and freedom. And I thought if I worked more, if I worked harder, inevitably more money, more peace, more freedom would come. Inevitably, I would cross this invisible threshold one day and wake up like, oh, now I can experience financial freedom and peace. No, it doesn't work that way. Smarter effort, more intention with your effort. That'll help you get to your goals faster. You've heard me say it probably 3 times on this episode. Asking for help accelerates results. I'm biased as a coach, but I have coaches in many aspects of my life. And something I subscribe to for a long time that I know you're likely relating to as I'm about to share it is I should be able to figure this out on my own. And candidly, I agree. However, the time it's going to take you to figure it out on your own is exponentially greater than doing it with a trusted, credible, reliable professional who understands where you've been and where you want to go. So it's very common in conversations I have for people to begin kind of going through their check boxes and thought process of what's it going to cost me? Well, what is it not going to cost you? Like, what is it costing you doing nothing and taking 10, 20, 30 years to solve the problem that's been plaguing you for even longer? What if we just nipped that motherfucker in the bud, called it a day, and got you playing phenomenal golf, making more money, experiencing more love, abundance, anxiety, and peace of mind in everyday life, confidence out of 10 out of 10, doubt and worry so far removed they're an afterthought you forget what it feels like. It's okay to admit you don't know something, to acknowledge you need help or support. In fact, it's a superpower. It's a strength that will allow you to go both further and faster. Another limiting and outdated belief. If I'm not doing, I'm falling behind. And I see this one a lot. I recall this and this from a conversation with Josh Nichols when he came on my podcast. I remember going, through Twitter, Instagram, the internet to do all my preparation, just coming across multiple threads on his social media. Like I would spend 8 or 9 hours a day at the range. And I remember asking him, like, if he could do it again, and this was what he was trying to qualify for the Masters, played a bunch of US AMs and whatnot. And again, 8, 9 hours a day on the range, 5, 6 days a week. I was like, would you do it again? And he's like, that's all I knew at the time. And not that he didn't have intention. I'm sure he absolutely did. And, actually in a podcast episode coming back, I was fortunate enough, he came back for a second episode. It'll be episode 82 or 84. I recorded it well ahead of time, as you can see. he really unpacked a lot of learning lessons and mistakes he made from his playing days. So that's a little sneak peek of what's to come there. But it was really eye-opening when he was like, yeah, like I could have brought a lot more intentionality, not only to my specific practice action steps and items, but his whole mindset and approach to the game. More is not always better. Especially for you, the golfer listening, maybe you're over 50. Maybe you're over 60. I've had a handful of clients that are between 70 and 75 years old, kicking ass on the course, taking care of their body, and guess what? Doing the deep work to take care of their mind and their hearts too. And they'll be the first to tell you, like, I can't hit as many balls like I did when I was 50, when I was 40, when I was 30. So they got to train smarter. They got to practice with more intention. And then the last belief that I've seen creep up quite a bit in conversation is if I'm intentional and it doesn't work, well, there's just proof that I'm broken. I'm the snowflake. I'm the anomaly. Bullshit. Vague effort protects your ego. Clear effort creates vulnerability. Be vulnerable. Be intentional. Trust, because you've surrounded yourself with the team or the partners, the friends, that you can weather the uncomfortable truths that you will encounter en route to becoming the best version of you. Now, I wanted to wrap up the conversation here. I don't know where this thought thread came from, but as I was reviewing my notes, I recalled a conversation I had with one of my clients during our initial call. And we were talking about it was really more about discipline and consistency and kind of following through on what he knew he needed to be doing. But he raised the question or the topic of ADD or ADHD. And we had a really good discussion about that. And I'm going to preface the remainder or this section of this podcast episode and conversation. I am not a doctor. I'm not even going to attempt to pretend I know everything about these diagnoses. I don't have them. I know people who are formally diagnosed. I know people who probably would be formally diagnosed. All I'm going to say is this. And I think it's important if you are someone who identifies kind of with some of these tendencies or you've been formally diagnosed, like ADD, ADHD, they are not flaws. They are simply neurological patterns that affect how your attention is managed. They don't reflect how much you care. In fact, if you're a golfer who has ADHD, you probably care a whole fucking lot about becoming the best golfer you can. And that can be what is part of inconsistency being so frustrating. So if you're someone who has the experience and has to navigate ADD or ADHD, just know that strategy, structure, discipline, intention work in your favor. Because if your brain tends to jump around a lot, setting micro intentions is like a lifeline. You can continue to give it a safe space and anchor to come back to. You don't need to focus on 18 holes or even this hole. Focus on one shot, not even your whole routine, just the next aspect of that routine, because routine creates safety. When your mind is wired for spontaneity and stimulation, structure feels boring, but it's exactly what is needed to build consistency. And we come back to the discussion I feel like I still have too often. Like a reliable pre-shot routine becomes your reset. It's a simple check-in to anchor your mind back in the present moment to bring intentionality to your next action step. It's understanding what you're doing, why you're doing, and how you're doing it. And the last thing I'll say about this is if you're someone who experiences ADHD, mental fatigue likely hits sooner because you're so go, 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 go. And often it's this executive function fatigue that happens faster, especially under stress or pressure. So this means intentional rest, resets, and even being intentional and diligent with your hydration and nutrition. All of these are performance tools designed to help you be more intentional to perform to your potential. Close that section of the conversation. Again, I'm not an expert on anything related to ADD, ADHD. It's a topic I indulge in with clients and prospective clients on a somewhat regular basis, so I thought it was worth mentioning there. Here's how I want to wrap up this conversation with a couple reminders. I want to go all the way back to the beginning, though, and just remind you of this key point. Lack of intention is not a behavior problem. It's a belief problem. It's not random. It's not a surface level habit. It's a mirror reflecting deep-seated fears and limiting beliefs. And I love the definition I was able to put together too, that I want you to walk away with remembering. Intentionality is the conscious act of directing your attention, energy, and effort toward a specific purpose, on purpose, with purpose. It's not just about what you're doing, but why you're doing it and how you're showing up. And the seven, I had to double check my math here. The 7 key thoughts that I want you to walk away with here, and we'll wrap this up, are as follows. Lack of intention is a decision, whether you admit it or not. Intentionality is both emotional discipline and mental focus. Without intention, you reinforce who you used to be. Vague effort is your ego's favorite hiding place. If you don't clearly define success, if you're not intentional about the outcome you desire, you can't fail. Your subconscious is always intentional, even when you're consciously not. Trying to play free without structure, without intention, it's just avoidance. Intentionality, and perhaps the one you really need to hear, creates the appropriate and effective conditions to facilitate the flow state we all crave and enjoy. Flow doesn't happen by chance. It happens when your systems feel safe, clear, committed, and intentional. Be intentional. Where in your life are you lacking intentionality right now? I challenge you to get incredibly curious about the answer to that question and to get clear on how you can bring more intention to every round, hole, shot, and aspect of life. I can tell you there's immense benefit and value in setting tomorrow's goals the night before so you can bring some intention to the day. But when you find those awkward transition times, as I like to call them, those 2 to 5 minute periods of time where one Zoom meeting has ended and you've got a couple minutes to spare to the next one, rather than surfing social media, sub-intentionality for Instagram. Oh, that was good. Sub-intentionality for Instagram. Think about how you want to show up in the next chunk of time. Who do you want to be? How do you want to feel? How do you want to respond? Be intentional. And I'll leave you with that. I thank you so much for listening. I know you found immense value in today's episode. Share it. Leave a rating, a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening to this show. I can't ask you enough. I ask you in every fucking episode. I'll be candid. Those of you who have done it, thank you so much. It means so much. It allows me to get the big, high-profile guests onto the show. The Scott Fawcett's, the Dr. Joseph Parent, the Dr. Bob Winter, who's coming, I think his episode comes out a week from today. Many other greats. I got Michael Leonard, Josh Nichols twice. I mean, Mark Immelman. The list goes on and on. I've been so blessed with the presence of these incredible, like-minded, brilliant individuals. It takes you 30 seconds to leave a rating and review on a podcast you've spent hours listening to. So thank you so much for doing that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. Have a fantastic week. Hit them straight this weekend, and I'll catch you in the next episode.